Welcome to Freeform Radio on the Freeform Network. You can follow us at Facebook at Freeform Network, on Twitter at FFR Podcast, and remember to send your questions and suggestions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. Today we have Danny with us.
Yes, sir, man. I'm over here. I'm kind of scared, man. I heard tomorrow might be 90 degrees, and I might have to turn on that air conditioning already. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit too early for air conditioning. Noel's running a little behind. He's going to join us in a minute or so. And it's all good, Andy. We want to thank you guys for listening and continue to support us. And let's get right to it, Danny. I see you watched a movie that I'm kind of interested in, like an underdog story about an NFL quarterback. Let us know what you think about this movie.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, I really dug it a lot, actually. I thought it was gonna have more of a like Christian undertone because he's a man of faith. And the movie I'm talking about is American Underdog. It's the Kurt Warner story, where he started off. Actually, was on the Green Bay team for a minute, and then he was only there for practice for like one day, and then he got booted off because well, at least the way the movie shows it, the coach is like, "All right, go in there and show us what you got, kid." And he's just like, "I just got here. I haven't even learned the playbook yet." And he's like, "It doesn't matter. Just go out there and show me what you got." And he's just like, "If you give me one day to study the playbook, I'll give you what I got tomorrow." And so the coach is just like, "All right, so what I'm hearing is you don't want to go out there." And so the coach just sent out whoever else. And then that very same day, the the coach goes to him later on in the day and he's just like, "You know what? You've been cut." And he's like, "What do you mean? I just got here today." And he's just like, "Nah,
This
man,
is
I
when
don't."
he's with the Rams, or?
No, this is when he's at Green Bay.
Oh,
So
okay.
right, so he's at Green Bay. And it just shows his whole story. That's just one of the little touch points there. The big thing about it is that he struggled to get signed at the NFL. He actually was working at a grocery store to make ends meet. And then he even went to arena football for a minute because arena
Yeah.
football was just launching, and they took off, and it was like a score fest where it was just touchdowns after touchdowns. So that's where he finally got noticed by St. Louis, or I think it's St. Louis. I think they were in
At
St.
the
Louis at
time,
the
they were.
time.
Yeah,
Los
at the time they were
Angeles.
St. Louis.
Okay, yeah, yeah. They're the Rams, wherever they are, because I know they've moved around a few times in the years. I can't remember what city they were in, but
L.A., St. Louis, then back to L.A.
right. But yeah, St. Louis finally took attention to them. Martz didn't really want him at first, the offensive coordinator. He thought he was too old. He's just like he's too old to be a rookie and be learning. But the coach really, what was his name? Dick
Vermeil.
Vermeil. He was the one that really felt like something was in him. Like you're the guy. And even a lot of people thought that the coach was a has been, like he was old
Yeah.
already, and so they didn't have faith in him. So there's like a touching moment in the movie, like you're old, I'm old, but we're gonna do it together, kind of thing. I don't know how true it was or real, but yeah, it was a really, really good movie. I really dug it. I thought, like I mentioned, there was gonna be more of like a God message, but he does mention it and it is part of the movie, but it's more on the background. It's not like some of these other Christian movies where it's like all in the front. It's more in the background and just like an added topping to the movie. But
Yeah.
really good.
Going back to Dick Vermeil now, he was like a big time a winning coach in the NFL. I think in like late 70s, early 80s with the Eagles. He got kind of burnt out, and then I think he was doing broadcasting. And then when they hired him, it was really out of left field, and people are like, maybe the game passed him by, all that stuff. And it's pretty interesting. They kind of bring that up because he was already, you know, like he won. I think he took the Eagles to a Super Bowl, but they lost, and it just he never really recuperated after that.
Yeah, from what I remember him, I was a football fan at the time, but I wasn't like some super mega fan. I watch more football now, but not as much at that age. But yeah, I do remember him like in my peripheral vision, and he was an older guy, but that's really what coaching was back then. It was just a bunch of old people. Nowadays, there's a lot more younger coaches.
Very
It's
diverse.
yeah, it's a lot more diversified now. But yeah, to me, it was just like the typical coach. That's just the way it was. Typical old guy that's been there for 1,000 years, kind of thing. But really cool movie. I do suggest it for football fans and for people just looking for a good message, because it does show his struggle through the years trying to get into the NFL.
Yeah, let me just get to let our listeners know Noel just joined us. He was running a little bit behind, but we're talking about American Underdog. Noel, I don't know if you had a chance to see that movie at all, or have you seen the trailer or anything?
Yeah. I haven't seen the movie, but I do know what you're talking about. Does it got the guy with from Shazam?
Right. Yeah, that's the actor that plays Kurt Warner,
Right.
the football player. But yeah, that same actor from Shazam, and he plays it well, man. He plays that country, good old boy kind of vibe, and he plays it very well. Even the wife, I didn't really know what Kurt Warner's wife looked like. But when you see the lady in the movie, you're just like, man, is that how she really looked like? And at the end of the movie, they always show like the real characters to the actors,
So,
and it looks really cool because they do look alike.
so does the movie end with him winning the Super Bowl, or does it go after that? It just leads up to the Super Bowl.
I watched it like a month ago, and I can't really recall where it ends exactly, but he does make it back into the NFL. He just starts slinging it, and I want to say that he did win the Super Bowl because at the end they show him lifting up the trophy,
Yeah.
from what I recall. But it was a really cool movie, good message. Alana liked it, and Alana's not. She's getting more into football nowadays, but she's not a huge like history buff on old football, but she dug it as well. So yeah, I suggest for anybody that likes football and a good story, man, go out there and check it out. Just some other quick things that's been going on with me here is I just beat, well, not, I didn't just beat it, but I beat it a minute ago. Mass Effect 3. I finally beat it. I know I've mentioned it before that I've played Mass Effect 1 and 2, but I finally beat 3. I fitted in between some other games that I was playing, but I wanted to finally beat it just to get the trilogy out of the way. I know they're working on part 5. Part 4 wasn't really well received, but they're working on part 5. And
You
you know,
just
I
beat three.
well, I had beat it before. This is the remaster
Ah,
that
okay.
that they came out with again. But I had beat it in it originally, and I actually imported my old save, so I still had a bunch of the old stuff that I did um, from the original PlayStation 3 version. But I got to play the remaster that came out on PlayStation 5, so it was up-res and faster and all that good stuff. But yeah, man, it was still a really cool game. Good watching it, playing it. A lot of the same beats. You're left with the challenge of trying to finish the game with all your characters, or as many as you can from your crew. And depending on how successful you are during the game, as far as gaining their friendship, doing their little side missions, and doing these tasks throughout the game, at the end of the game, they'll show you if they survived or if they died in the final conflict. And yeah, I gotta say, all my characters did survive. I did everything that I was supposed to. So it was a cool game to revisit again, even though um, I had played it already once before. I got a few new trophies that I didn't get before, but mostly just played it for the sake of playing. It didn't really get any new trophies, other than just a few here and there.
So Mass Effect, was that
It's like a
a
sci-fi.
PC? Was it a PC exclusive, or was it just on Sony?
The first one that ever came out was a Sony, I mean, a Microsoft thing. It was actually
Yeah.
published by Microsoft, and then the company that released it, BioWare, they ended up buying back the rights and distributing uh, Part One years after on PlayStation. But it was weird because Part Two came out on PlayStation before Part One came out on PlayStation. just because Microsoft had owned the rights up to that point. So it was really convoluted, and I actually played it in that order. I played part 2 before I even played part 1, just because part 1 was never available on PlayStation. So I ended up playing part 2 and then part 3, and then finally they put up part 1. So then I went back and ended up playing part 1. But yeah, part 3, it was probably the best of the 3. I enjoyed it, but I'm not looking terribly forward to this new one that's coming out. I did play a little bit of part 4. I forget the name now. I think it's Armadillos or Armadillos, or I forget what it's called. That was part 4, and I played it for a minute, but I didn't really care for it. I didn't even like it enough that I gave it to Efren. I'm like, Efren, you want this game? And I just gave him the game. I'm like, I don't even want to play it anymore.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Like about Mass Effect, I'm like, it was exclusive to somebody or it was a PC game. So I'm shocked to hear that you played it. I don't remember really being on a console.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it because it had that sci-fi vibe, kind of like a Star Trek, Star Wars kind of vibe. Big universe, you have a crew that you're building, and it just has a lot of good aspects of all that stuff that I like. So yeah, I really dug it and played it, and enjoyed it. The last little thing I wanted to bring up is that I just recently signed up for Panera Sips, or Sips, I think is the name of the membership. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. No, the Sips one is a little different because they did have the Panera Coffee Unlimited, I think was the name of the plan that they had before.
Yeah.
The Sips program includes lemonades, teas, pop, anything that you want. And for the membership fee of, I want to say $10 a month, you get all the pop, coffee, lemonade, tea that you can drink. You can get a new drink every 2 hours. So after, like every 2 hours, the clock restarts and you can get another drink kind of thing. So it's been great, man. And actually right now there's a promotion that you get it for free until July. July is the first like billing cycle that starts. So if you sign up today, you get free drinks all the way up to July, and then that's when the first cycle starts. So right now, man, I'm like drinking it up, man. I'm drinking. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I drink tea, and I've been working early, so I haven't been able to get my early one. But when I was working my regular hours, I was getting one in the morning on the way to work. I was getting one on the way back from work. And then sometimes if we were to go run an errand or something, I would go get another one. So I was getting like 2 or 3 a day, man. And I was just soaking this stuff up.
Can you share the password to that, or how does that work? I mean, is it like a family, or you check in or something and then they give you a cup, or can you take like your Yeti or something, or a tumbler?
I think they do offer like a tumbler or something to that, where they give you like a Panera cup kind of thing. But it's just like regular. You just go and order, like, yeah, let me get a large lemonade. And they're like, all right, do you have a rewards card? You give them your rewards number. And then when you check out, the balance is zero. You don't have to pay anything. You just walk out with your lemonade. So
yeah, if you can use your tumbler, I think it might be pretty worth it. I know like 7-Eleven, they used to like, there was a fee if you bring your own cup or something. I forgot what it was, but I think they kind of got away from that.
Yeah, I've been like in the morning I might get something for myself, and then on the way home, since they do have some like coffees and stuff like that, I'll bring something home for Alana. And so yeah, we've both been kind of drinking it up. The only thing that I did notice is, man, that there's a lot of people in Panera, man, and when you hear about stocks and people, kind of like this uncertainty about money and the way the economy is moving. It doesn't look like that in Panera, man. Panera, man, it's rocking. There's just like people everywhere, and I've noticed even like a people shortage too. There was one time that I went into Panera for a drink, and they had a sign that said, we apologize for the inconvenience, but please use the kiosk for checking out. And I'm like, man, they don't even have somebody in the front taking orders. They just got the cook in the back, maybe somebody in the drive-through, because the one by my house has a drive-through. And I'm like, man, that is weird. But yeah, man, it's kind of weird to go on there on the regular, but really cool program. Um, After it starts, I don't know if I'm gonna keep going just because I'm a cheap guy, and even though it's $10 for a whole month, uh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna want to pay $10 because I don't regularly go to Panera to begin with, and it's like I'm gonna be giving them $10 every month when realistically I probably spend $2 a month on the regular at Panera whenever I do feel like, all right, let me go get a drink kind of thing
That's what
from
I'm
Panera.
saying. If the value you're getting, if you take like a bigger tumbler or whatever, I think if you do it, if it's $2, I don't know how much each drink. Let's say it's $2 and you get it, that's $6 if you do it every day. So I mean, but that's a driving out of your way and getting out and doing all that. I don't know how much it's worth to you. But in the morning, if they, yeah, like I've had their coffee and I'm just like, I've had better coffee at shittier places. That's one thing where I feel Panera lacks is on their coffee. Their coffee game is not good, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not a coffee guy, so I wouldn't be able to speak too much on that. But why don't we switch gears here and jump over to Noel? Noel, I see you've been watching some TV. What's this Outer Range? I've never heard of that. And real quick, man, I watched that mafia movie, The Outfit, the one you suggested. And I gotta say, it didn't hit as well as your other recommendation. By the end of it, there was just like a backstabbing to a backstabbing to a churn, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, who's with who this by now? It just switched so many times that I kind of didn't feel it at the end. But let us know about this Outer Range, man.
Yeah, well, really quick, I'll respond to that. Yeah, the outfit, it was just kind of one of those unsuspecting things at the end. Like you didn't like for spoilers here, beware everyone. Um, at the end of the movie, the outfit guy, the guy that makes the clothes and cuts it and all that, he's actually a former kind of gangster himself, and he used to be like an assassin or one of those executioner kind of things. So everybody that's kind of picking on him or kind of using him for their benefit, they kind of get their comeuppance at the end because they were willing to pretty much destroy everything he had built. And at the end, he kind of goes into detail about what happened to his family and how his wife and his child died, and so he pretty much had nothing left to live for until he came to that to the city,
Right.
and he found that apprentice, the girl that worked for him, and he kind of took to her like she was his surrogate
Like
daughter, you can say.
right, the daughter, right? I gotta give the movie that they didn't jump the shark and go into like Jason Bourne. I was just waiting for this guy to start doing some like karate moves and like doing some like crazy stuff, and then I would be like, nope, and I'll turn it off. But no, they didn't. At least they didn't do that.
Yeah, no, it was not the best movie, but not the worst. It's definitely worth watching to me, but yeah. Anyway, this new show that I'm watching, Outer Range, it's kind of like a sci-fi. Um, I would say it's kind of like a mix between Yellowstone and the that one ranch. What the hell is it called? The alien type shit. The ranch. Man,
Skinwalker
Right.
Ranch.
That
Skinwalker Ranch. It's like a mix between those two.
I've heard, seen some reviews on it. People call it, it's a mix between Yellowstone and Stranger Things.
Well, Stranger Things in the sense that it has aliens, but I think that kind of would get people to think it's about kids and stuff, and there's
Yeah.
really not much of that, but it is about aliens, it seems like at least. There's this like huge, massive pit that leads to like, well, who the fuck knows, like an abyss, essentially. And when he put his hand in it, he found. So let me backtrack. There's this rancher. His name is Josh Brolin. The actor that plays him is Josh Brolin, and so he runs this huge, massive ranch in Wyoming. And I've only seen the first episode, so I can give you is the update on that. I still have yet to see the future episodes, so I'm gonna just give you guys the rundown on the first one. He runs this ranch with his two sons, and one of his sons lost their wife. She disappeared, Rebecca, and they're raising his daughter at their ranch without, their mom. And so while they're still looking for her, the FBI is kind of like, starting to die down on their efforts for finding her because it's already been a very long time. And a lot of drama happens between the next ranch over. The family there, it's kind of like a feud that starts to build in the first episode, and seemingly out of nowhere. There's one night where the farmer on one side calls the farmer on the other side, and they start saying that there's some weird shit going on, and then he's like, "What the fuck? Is he drunk or something?" So they kind of just dismiss it, and then the next day, the family of the farmer that the opposing side, they come over and say, "Hey, we had an inspector come out. It looks like 1 mile, one whole mile of your land belongs to us, and so you have like a certain amount of time to get your fence moved before we, start getting the court involved." And so Josh Brolin, who's already struggling to run his ranch, it's a lot of acreage, and he's a cattle rancher, so he has a bunch of cows and shit. And he lost two of his cows already. That was like how the episode kind of started. And so it's like a lot of stuff is happening to him. It's kind of going downhill, and he's trying to manage it as best as he can. And then when they find out that the FBI is going to start, kind of dwindling their efforts into trying to find Rebecca, the oldest son, I forgot what his name is, Peyton, I think, or something like that. I had to rewatch the first episode. I still haven't memorized the names. But the son, the oldest son that lost his wife, he kind of goes on the deep end. He goes and gets drunk with his brother, and in doing so, he kind of pukes on this on one of the opposing farmer's sons, and it just starts a
Jesus.
fight. It starts a fight that leads to another fight that leads to one of them getting killed, the opposing farmer's son. And prior to that fight happening, Josh Brolin was kind of taking a survey around the land, and he saw this massive, humongous hole that just led to fucking nowhere. And he didn't know what to make of it, so he kind of like stood by it. He was kind of scared, it was like just unheard of, unseen in all of human existence. Nothing like this has ever just been there. Imagine miles and miles of land, and all of a sudden there's a huge freaking hole that just has like a bottomless pit. And so he throws stuff. He throws a rock. He throws a few other things to see if anything, if he hears a sound or nothing. Nothing happens. He sticks his hand in there, and when he sticks his hand in there, just his hand for a little bit, he's kind of taken to like an alternate place, but
Oh.
it's still this reality, but it's like jumped in the future for like maybe 15 minutes or half an hour or so, and he sees himself in the house having a discussion with his family about the investigation, being called off essentially. And so he freaks out. He's like, "What the fuck was that?" Right? He goes back home, and sure enough, it plays out just like he saw. The conversation, everything plays out. So he knows, like, all right, this whole there's got to be something to it. Like it takes you to the future, or who knows what the fuck. Like it's still unknown, but he knows it's very dangerous. So now going back forward to where the sons got in that fight and they kill that guy from the rancher, like it was an accident. They didn't mean to, but it happened. The guy was an asshole, by the way. He kind of asked for it, but at the same time, they didn't have to go as far as killing him. So anyway, they try to hide what they did. Obviously, they don't want to go to jail, so they take the body back to their ranch. And Josh Brolin, he ends up getting involved. He's the father of the two sons, so he doesn't want them to go to jail either. So he starts thinking, he's like, okay, you guys clean up the evidence, clean the truck, burn the clothes. I'll take care of the body. And his idea is to go drop the body at that hole. And so let's just leave it there. I'm not going to give you guys all the information and details, but let's just say that, yeah, it's a pretty wild first episode.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, yeah, I saw the trailers and I'm just like I'm on the fence about it. You gotta keep us updated to see how it goes. Usually the first episode's it keeps people interested. But as the show goes on, they see how far they can push it.
I'm kind of curious to hear or see if I dabble in it. What happens when you throw the body in there? Does it go into the future 3 days, or I'm like, man, that's got to be weird.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. And when I was watching it, I started thinking about what I would do. I was like, first of all, I would get like a fishing line. I would get like a camera, attach it to it, and just like dip it down there, record, bring it back up. I would do experiments essentially, but these guys have been living on a ranch their whole life. He just barely came across it. He wasn't necessarily thinking in a very scientific way. He was just like very, very shocked at this even being there. He's never seen it. And he's been on that ranch for 30 plus years. So pretty crazy, man. Pretty crazy show. I think all the episodes are out for the first season, so I'm gonna be getting caught up, pretty soon. And I think it's only 8 episodes or so. But so far, it's got good reviews. On IMDb, it's got a 7.5. And I have a feeling this is more on the horror end, but it will have that Yellowstone vibe where there is like a Hatfield McCoy kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, I could dig that.
But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And another thing I've been watching, X, this new movie that came out this year. Unfortunately, this year hasn't been that great for movies, man. I've seen a few good ones like Spider-Man. The outfit was pretty good, and there was another one, Project Adam, was all right. With Ryan Reynolds. It was an action movie. But there's been a kind of a few duds here and there. Uncharted, I didn't really like that much, and this one here is a horror movie. It's called X, and essentially, kind of synopsis of it is this group of people that are trying to film a porno go out to this like secluded ranch, and the guy that's renting it out he has no idea what they're up to, right? But essentially they're trying to do it in secret. It's like a secluded, like kind of like a house, I guess, that he has from his main house. And so they're able to kind of record some stuff. They go to the barn, record some stuff, and they're trying to record a porno. And this is like 1960s, 70s time period that they're trying to portray. And it's got a few recognizable faces. Some people you might recognize acting wise. But essentially what turns into a happy-go-lucky, like they're recording this film, turns into a very violent survival turn of events where the rancher and his wife end up being more evil than you would suspect. In the beginning, they seem like they're very, very old, like in their 70s, 80s, to the point where they're not going to be able to do anything. And lo and behold, the wife ends up fucking just flipping her lid, and almost like a demonic possession takes hold of her to the point where she starts murdering everyone. And it's pretty intense, bro.
What's it? It's called Just X.
Just X. Honestly, it's one of the better horror movies I've seen in a very, very long time. In terms of like, if you've seen Texas Chainsaw, this is kind of up that alley. And so it's been a long time since I've seen something that actually had me on the edge of my seat. And because I'm big on horror movies, so I always try to root sometimes for the actual, like, the evil person in the movie. Like if I'm watching like Freddy Krueger or Jason, I root for Jason. I'm not rooting for the camp counselors, I'm rooting for Jason, and I want to see, oh, let's see him fucking split this guy's head open. Oh, let's see him, fucking snap their spine or something. And in every like kill in this movie happened the way like I kind of wanted to see it play out. It was perfect, dude. It was perfect in terms of that. A lot of, if you're into like slasher gore stuff, this is right up your alley. Is pretty much all I got to say. I don't want to spoil anything else. You kind of already know what's going to happen from the get-go, but the fact that it plays out the way it did is like it left me really satisfied in terms of a horror fan.
Cool, man.
So
and it was
they ever film the porno or what?
They do have many scenes. Yeah, they show a lot of shit, and they film the scenes. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Did the sexual sex scenes think is what got that woman got her
Yep.
possessed? Because it was some
Yep.
nasty shit for the '60s.
Well, it's not that it was nasty just for the 60s, is that she was so old and her husband couldn't do anything anymore. He was too old, that she was like super jealous and like very, very upset,
Now
you
we're
know?
getting to the deep of the story here. Yeah, see, that's what drove her. Like my husband never did that shit in our marital bed. The fuck's going on?
And it's incredible, man. Like it's actually really disturbing. Some scenes are pretty disturbing with the old lady. And I was like, man, like they played this really well because you don't really see a lot of horror movies with old ladies, and they should be more. There should be a lot more horror movies with old ladies, because like it was creepy as fuck, dude. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. That's what I've been watching recently. But let's switch it over to you, Andy. So damn, it looks like 25 years with DVDs. The anniversary is this year, huh?
Yeah, the anniversary of the DVD came about. I think it was like a month ago. I want to talk about it a little bit because you know me. I'm an avid fan of physical media and the way things are now.
Some would say an
Um,
expert.
no, I'm not. I mean, yeah, I guess. I'm glad you said I'm an expert. Then I appreciate that. But yeah, the DVD is slowly going away of the dodo bird, along with forms of physical media with the electronic and digital age that we live in. But again, I'll keep touting and pushing physical media because the streaming services it's evolving and changing, especially in the current society that we live in with the woke politics and the PC. Some of that older stuff, it's or episodes of older shows are not being shown on there because they deemed it to be just not appropriate for the time that we're living in. And so that's why you gotta keep buying DVDs, Blu-rays, or whatever the 4K. I've never got into the 4K disc, but um, you just got to keep at it, man, because the DVD was, I feel like, revolutionary from what it did, from gaming, movies, uh, the space saving thing on your shelf, when they used to have like Star Trek, right? They put all the shows on VHS, and I think they put like maybe one or two episodes on a fucking VHS tape, and you would see people had their whole like media cabinets just filled with Star Trek shit,
Right.
and I was just like, damn, like that it took up a lot of space, and with the DVDs, that when that came out, it really changed things with collectors and gaming. From the PlayStation 1 with the CDs they had. And then when we got to PlayStation 2, it was like fucking night and day, right? With space and all that. Is just it's a revolutionary format.
Right. I know you still buy DVDs
I
and
bought one
whatnot.
yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. So, uh, everything is even surpassing Blu-rays, where now, like you mentioned, it's going into this Ultra HD stuff, 4K. Are you going to rebuy everything in this new format?
No. Like I said, I was never into the 4K, and I don't think it really took off because of streaming. I mean, there's a niche collectors. That's why like the 3D stuff when that was coming out, like what 5, 6 years ago, I
Right.
never really took off because it was pretty cool, but people had to buy a new player, had to buy a TV. You had to decide if you want the glasses and shutter one. Like it was all this goofiness, and it wasn't really universal. And then the 4K, you got to buy a new TV, you got to buy a new player, and like I think people don't want to shell that out, and I think they would prefer the smart TV. Just uh, hit a button, Netflix, Hulu, whatever, and you get to watch your thing with 1080p. I mean, I know they offer some 4K. I think Netflix does, but I mean, I think they're pretty content with that, you know. And that's why the 4K disc thing, for me, I never really. I was pretty content with Blu-ray, and I think Blu-ray had a really short lifespan too.
Yeah, I don't buy physical movies too much anymore. Like you mentioned, streaming is probably the route that I go most often. Um, this last Black Friday, it was like the first time I bought any kind of physical movie media in a while, and I bought the Spider-Man. I think it was No Way Home, 4K because I have a 4K TV, and I'm like, God, let me see what the hell, all the hype's about. And I didn't really see a big difference. I had the original um, streamed copy on my PlayStation, so I would play that for a minute, look at it, and then I would pop in this Ultra HD copy, and to me it looked the same. I didn't really see like this huge thing, like whoa. Now it could be that it's my TV because my TV is quite a few years old. I got it when 4K was barely coming out. So maybe I just don't have all the bells and whistles that the newer ones have.
I think
Yeah.
part of it is the vision of most people. Sad to say, I mean, and it's just true, man. If you go to if you get 100 people and you get all the people wearing glasses or that need glasses out of the lineup, you're gonna get a lot of people out of that 100 out of that lineup. That's just the way it is. A lot of people, for whatever reason, there's eyesight issues becoming more common nowadays, and I've had this discussion with multiple people about quality, about 4K, because I'm switching everything to 4K. As soon as a new movie comes out in 4K that I have in 1080, I upgrade immediately because I can actually tell the difference. Uh, I'm not very tall. I don't have a lot of hair, but God bless me with good eyes, and I'm thankful for it every day. So I do notice that 4K, and I've discussed it with other people. They're like, I don't notice it, like it's whatever. And I'm like, do you wear glasses? And then I look at them like, yeah, they wear glasses. So I'm like, obviously you're not gonna notice it. It's like you can't see already to begin with. Shit. Why
It
would you
could be,
notice the extra
right?
pixels?
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah, I
the
mean,
same way a colorblind person isn't gonna notice color saturation.
that's what I'm saying. Like every new format or TV watching, like, because I remember the first time I got Direct TV, this had to be like the early 2000s at my old house. This is before HD became prevalent. I saw, especially on sporting events, I did see a difference in the quality of the picture compared to cable. And then when we got the first DVD players, and you got the cables and the HDMI's, I noticed that when I saw Blu-ray, the DVD, I did notice that, and then like now it's just with Blu-ray going to this Ultra HD and all this and the 4K. Maybe it is because I'm older, but the other thing, I gotta buy a new TV, and I think my TV, it's old. It's really old. It's not even a smart TV. I mean, but it still does the job in my eyes. And maybe I'm not just into Intuit. I'm just getting old, and like I still pop in
That's
a
for
DVD.
sure.
I still pop in a DVD once on a Blu-ray, just to keep it going. But lately, I feel like when I buy stuff, it's just I'm not sure if it's gonna be on any streaming service, or if it is, or it's available digitally, but you gotta buy it. Like, and I'm not big on buying digital programming. I'm like
Right. Yeah.
stored on something, and like I don't like any of that stuff.
To me, 4K is best mainly like for the old movies that you want to see like remastered, like Godfather, Goodfellas, Scarface, like all that stuff. Or like let's say they have a 4K of Sopranos, like all that is worth it. You don't have to have your whole library in 4K, but if you have like the best movies of your collection in 4K, that's always like a benefit, you know.
And also, I've also read that I remember when DVD came out, and then also when you were kind of transitioning when Blu-ray around that time. I remember reading articles like on home theater like magazines and stuff like that. How the calibration of your TV, people just shit on that. How you have it set up, that you should hire somebody to, and they'll calibrate the TV what it's supposed to be. Like a person might not be kind of red, or they're kind of light skinned, and the colors in the background. That if you hire there's people who are, I don't know if they're still doing that for a living, but they would come on and calibrate your TV with the colors for to get the right playback and like the best picture available when you play a movie. Like, you ever heard about that? And that
Yeah,
always stuck on the back of my mind.
I know a guy at work that's exactly like that, where he doesn't buy his TV at like Best Buy and Walmart. He goes and to that ADP or those stores that where
Uh-huh.
it's like a whole experience, and they come out, they'll connect your cable box, they'll connect all your shit to it, and they'll put it up there because you don't know how to connect the coaxial cable. They'll take care of all that shit for you. And they're probably doing that, is setting up the contrast and making sure that all the
Yeah.
settings are correct.
That's I mean, that's like a long time ago. That was like a big deal, and like I saw multiple articles in different home theater magazines talking about that. And I'm just like, can that be that much of a difference? And you would see like videos and stuff about it as YouTube became more, and prevalent and stuff, and people talking about that. And they say it used the how the black and the LCD TV sometimes will look weird. Like, all that shit is corrected. And I was just like, man, can it be that much of a difference? And I don't know.
It can't. I guess it can, because sometimes when I'm walking into Sam's Club or Costco, and you see those TVs lined up, they look beautiful, man. But then when you get home, it doesn't look like that. So maybe
Yeah,
I am setting something wrong.
they say, and the ones on the displays, they put a setting for to make it like pop. And when you get home, it's not like that. There's some setting that they talk about. But and again, this was all brought on upon going back to the anniversary of the DVD. That was brought on because of that. People with the laser disc. Everybody, the back in the day,
Yep.
the people were really into the laser disc in the '90s, and they had these big TVs and home theater setups, and that kind of grew that whole community. When kind of got more accepted as the DVDs came out. Because I was when Laserdisc came around, I'm like, this shit's expensive. It's big. Yes, it looks better, but I'm not gonna fucking spend all this money. And with the DVDs when they came out and the price, it got cheap pretty quick. Like, I remember on Black Fridays they were giving cheap DVD players were like $20, and people were fighting over those fucking things. Now you can't even give them away.
I remember my Mintech DVD player, man. I
Yes, that thing
love that
played
one.
everything.
Yeah. It had even like a Kodak picture player and shit. I was like, damn.
Dude, they had a hack. You could play VCDs, which were like big in fucking Asia. That was like
Hmm.
the thing, the precursor to fucking DVDs. That played that. You could play. It was all region, so you buy any DVDs. It played that. It had an MP3 player before the picture. Had like a USB thing. It was like you threw whatever fucking disc in that thing, and it played it. And I was just like, when I first bought that Mintech, I think I paid $50 for it, and I bought all sorts of bootlegs from the comic book conventions and all this shit on eBay. And I fucking threw that thing on there, and it fucking played it beautifully. Now I
Yeah,
couldn't
did you
do
have
that with
a?
the PlayStation or any other the fucking blue player or DVD players.
Yeah, dude. The biggest thing for me was when you switch from VHS to DVD, you didn't have to rewind anymore,
Yeah,
and you could skip to wherever you wanted to go to, or pause it like super easy. Oh man,
yeah. There
that's it.
was, as I'm saying, there was a guy on YouTube back in the day. He gave you these codes. You watch this tutorial on how to fucking open up like this programming thing. If it didn't play, like, oh, it's easy. Hit like 9999 on the remote or some shit and get this like special menu. You could select if you got like PAL fucking this, do this. If it did the, it was like all these hacks that you had, and it was always like you got to do this on this Mintech model, and it was always Mintech DVD players because I guess that was the cheap brand that was available at Best Buy or some shit, right? Because that's why I remember I bought my Mintech was at Best Buy.
Yeah, I bought mine on sale. I was probably like 12 or 13, man. It was my first DVD player. It was a great time. Great time to be alive in those 90s.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like it did everything, and as DVDs became more prevalent, like you slowly started seeing that VHS section at stores disappear and just endless aisles of DVDs. And I mean, it was a fucking great format. I'm glad it's still around now. I mean, but it's if you find a DVD release, it's just like bare bones. Like it barely has a menu, and like you just hit play. Like there's nothing else, and it might have like subtitles. They don't put nothing else in that. Once in a while, like when I go to Redbox, I'll see what movies they got on sale, and sometimes they got like a DVD for like $2. Like, yeah, I'll buy it. It's $2 fucking, right? I think it costs more to rent it. And then like you pop it in and it's just like bare bones. Like fucking I felt like I created DVDs better on the software I had back in the day than what they put on. Usually the pretty bad ones were the Warner Brothers ones, the recent ones, the Warner Brothers movies. They were pretty shitty.
I remember you used to use Nero.
Yeah, Nero. There was a software I forgot. I got it on Pirate Bay that lets you put menus. It lets you put music. It lets you like when you put the chapters. It lets you have like that moving picture just replay, like a GIF almost. And dude, that one time I was trying to like be like this fucking DVD maker, and once in a while it consumed all my time. But it was a challenge, and once it got done, and it took like a half hour to burn. You'd plop it in, and like fuck, I fucked up a spelling, or I didn't like the font or something, you know.
Yeah, I actually read something not too long ago that Best Buy is slowly phasing out their DVD racks and their Blu-ray racks too.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like it's like Walmart still has that $5 bin or whatever, but back in the day, motherfuckers be going through it like crazy. You don't see nobody, and then they got that 750 Blu-ray. Once in a while, you see people that. But when I see people going through the DVDs, it's mostly it's mostly Hispanic guys. It's always weird, and I'm like, don't they know about like Netflix and shit? And then you see like those god awful movies like with the Steven Seagal straight to video, like they just mass produce and throw them in there, and then those end up at the Dollar Tree. Nobody buys that shit. Walmart wholesales and sells them out to like Dollar Tree, and when they get these new batches of DVDs and Blu-rays, it's usually the same shitty movies.
Did even Dollar Tree ain't $1 anymore, man? It's probably buy 2 for $3 now.
Oh, that
No, it's $1.25 now.
$1.25. Fucking inflation. But that's all the time we got for these DVDs. Send us your memories on DVDs or Blu-rays at ffnquestions@gmail.com. Let us know what you guys think of the format. Maybe I'm blowing up smoke up people's asses, or do you have the same love or hate, or just streaming's the way to go because that's the future, but they're running into challenges. But with that being said, let's go into our article of the week. So the reason I picked this article, I know the article is a little bit old. It's called I heard this name, I was watching this documentary. It's called about UFOs, and this is the first time I heard this name, Solar Warden, the secret space program. And I knew there was a space program. I remember seeing documentaries about it. But when I saw this documentary, they said the name of this program, and this is the closest thing I could find to the article what they talked about in that documentary. And this article is from 2012. So in the 80s, they had a secret space fleet called Solar Warden, and it's been in operation since the 80s. Some people have been able to confirm this existence of this program. In Reagan's diaries, they were able to find some journal entries about him talking about this program. And basically what it is, it's a fleet of like spaceships that are in conjunction with other countries, but I always thought that the U.S. ran it, and supposedly they have space fleets that are like ships that can hold up to 200 people. And in the documentary, they show a picture of one of the ships, and I was like, "Holy shit!" It was like this massive ship. It had had like solar panels all around it, and it was like very round. And and I always wonder, like, when you see this shit, like, how do you take it? Um, and the article goes into this guy named Gary McKinnon. I know about him. He hacked into the U.S. Space Command computers like in the late '80s, early '90s, and that's when he found all these documents where they had terms of non-terrestrial officers, fleet-to-fleet transfers, and the secret program was called Solar Warden. He was charged under the Bush administration for computer hacking, and he was from England, and then they've been trying to extradite him ever since here to the United States, but England has not let him do that.
Yeah,
So
I thought it was weird that I googled him to see. I'm like, man, is this guy dead already, or is he over here being in some prison in Guantanamo Bay or
no,
something?
yeah,
And no, they never extradited. But I did read in the article it made mention they think they haven't done that because of the freedom of information, they would have to release all these documents to the
yeah,
prosecutor, and they don't want all that information to be leaked out. The other neat thing that I thought about this article is that it makes mention of the cigar-shaped UFOs, which I always thought were weird. I'm like, man, cigar-shaped. But I remember you shared an article maybe like a year ago or a couple months ago about a cigar shape flying over like the Navy ships. And
mm-hmm.
it got me thinking about this. I'm like, man, is this like connecting both of those things together? I'm like, weird, man.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I believe there is the secret space program. We started the Space Force, the United States under Trump. People were kind of laughing at it, and there's people talking about why did we do this when we have this, and they're still trying to figure that shit out. And now we know they have secret ships. I don't want to say secret. They're kind of more open about it. They sent that mini space shuttle up to space a couple years back. I don't know if you recall, like right before the pandemic, and they're like, well, what is it doing? It's a top secret mission. We're just letting you know that it's up there. And they've done 3 of those type of missions with that fucking spacecraft. And supposedly it's unmanned. So it's like a type of drone or something. And they're like, it's collecting stuff. That's all we're gonna tell you. And it was gone for like, if I recall, like 3 weeks or something. It was something weird. And I always wonder if we have all this like high end technology, then why the fuck do the U.S. like keep shit like in Afghanistan go and like Vietnam and like these wars that they say that we didn't particularly do well. Like, why don't they use some of this shit?
Yeah, I wonder if it's that if they show their hand, then the rest of the world has their own shit,
Right.
and then it kind of just opens, like you drop a nuke, I'm gonna drop a nuke kind of thing.
But going back to this space program, and like the article kind of, they say what did they say? They work with numerous countries, and one of the countries in here is Russia. So, like, right now, what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, and you look at this, so do they have access to all this shit, or is there like some treaty like we're never gonna use this shit here? I'm trying to find the list of the countries. I can't find it, but I saw like almost all of Europe, and then they included Russia. And then the Chinese, that supposedly they got some badass weapons that they created, and some people in the Department of Defense are scared. And I was just like, I don't know. Like, it's just all this shit always. You read this stuff, and I'm always thinking as I get older, I'm just like, how much of this is true, and how much of this is bullshit, or this is just trying to get people thrown off, thrown off the scent of like what the fuck really is going on. Like
Yeah,
when,
it's
go
crazy
ahead.
times, dude. Because I've been seeing a lot of stuff like comparing just how the hypocrisy, that all the governments supposedly, like there's like this conspiracy that all the governments are in cahoots. All these wars are an agenda just to depopulate and just cause chaos and destruction. And to suit their needs. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and then generally it's the average citizen that gets sent off to war. It's not these politicians fighting these battles. It's the everyday average Joe. And so you see, like, there's memes and stuff about how political leaders will sit in the same room, even though they're at war with each other. They're sitting in the same room having tea and biscuits, laughing, having a good old time. Meanwhile, the soldiers that they ordered to war are out there dying and killing each other.
No, yeah, exactly. Like I found the list. So it says Solar Warden is said to be made up from U.S. aerospace black projects. So that's like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and some other ones with black project contractors. But some contributions as part of the as in parts and systems by Canada, United Kingdom, Italy, Austria, Russia, and Australia. It's also said the
All the
program was
Anglosphere.
tested and operated from secret military use bases as Area 51. So, like you see all that list, and like you're like what the fuck, like what's going on, and like especially with Russia. But I wish I don't know. I used to think if we got UFO disclosure from like a U.S. government representative, I always feel like, well, there you go. Like they confirmed it, but now at this point, I don't think it's gonna. Even if they do come out and say there's UFOs, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be people saying they're full of shit. They're trying to trick us some way. You know, it's just like this never ending. Like everything is disinformation, or everything's the truth, or it's a half truth.
It's like
Like
the
it's
X-Files,
just
man.
never ending. Yeah, it's never ending.
So they trick Mulder. Is like he believed so hard, and then they told him like, yeah, we lied. Like we made you believe. It's so
So yeah,
crazy.
it's like this whole UFO thing. Like I've talked about it numerous times. Me personally, I think it's real, but the more shit that comes out, it's always like, oh yeah, it's bullshit, or it's this, or they're just trying to control us. They're gonna say this to get everybody united, and it's just like I don't know what to believe. Even if a UFO just fucking landed like in front of the White House, they're gonna be like, yeah, man, we're real. And we want to join you. I think we're just gonna be like, fuck that. I don't know what that is. Shoot it. Fucking get your shotguns out. Like in Independence Day, there's fucking ships overhead and like on top of the cities, and people they're like they have a sign, don't shoot at the ships. People they're just shooting at them. Like I think I'd be one of the people shooting because I'm like I don't know what the fuck this thing is.
I don't know if I would shoot it just because I doubt it's gonna do anything. And it's like if you're in front of an animal that's larger than you, and you have like a fucking like, let's say you're in front of a bear, and all you got is like a fucking like one of those airsoft guns. Are you gonna really provoke it with an airsoft gun and knowing it's not gonna do anything to it? It's just gonna kill you. It's like I don't think I'd provoke it. I would try to back away or just enjoy the last moments of my life. I don't know. I don't think I'd provoke it though. Definitely not.
I'm gonna be like, you ain't shit. Come at me, bro. Fucking Leonardo DiCaprio hanged. I can hang, right? Remember that movie where he fought the bear for like 10 minutes and he lived?
The Revenant. Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
remember that? That was
That was
crazy. I'm like,
crazy.
man, this shit doesn't want to end. The bear just keeps fucking him up.
Yeah. The second he showed that he was still alive, it just went for more. It's like, holy shit. The fact that he survived all that, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you know, I know it's a challenge to believe all this shit, and I'm at a point where I'm like, I think I gotta see one with my own eyes, and then no matter what, I see all this shit documentaries, and even if the press secretary came out and goes, "Yo, we've been dealing with UFOs for like 60 years. They're real." I'm gonna be like, well, what? I'm gonna think, what do they have to gain from this? You know?
Right. Yeah.
Technology.
No, I think it'd be neat to find out what advances they have, if any, or are they even more broke than us and their economy sucks and they're looking for money from us?
Ha- Have you guys ever seen the Joe Rogan podcast with Bob Lazar?
Yes.
That
Yeah, I've
was a
seen.
pretty good episode, man, and that gives me more credit, like more reason to believe in UFOs.
Well, his friend he talks about him, John Lear. right? That he took those infamous videos when he initially went up there. He just died. He passed away a month ago. Like these are people I grew up hearing since like the fucking late '80s. Geraldo had um, Lazar on his show, but he had him behind a black screen, and you just heard his voice. He was talking about Area 51 on Geraldo. I remember watching that as a fucking kid in the late '80s. You know, I don't know. You probably weren't even. Well, you might have been born to one, but I remember watching that, and I'm like, there's this fucking guy talking about a metal or something that is not of this earth, and that they found on spaceships, and they covered his face and they altered his voice, and then it came out, it was him, and then I remember hearing Coast to Coast. He released like a tape detailing all this shit, like a VHS tape you had to order back in the day for like $25 or $20. And I was like, how do I get this fucking tape? And like my parents ain't gonna give me $25 to order a goddamn VHS tape. And then I didn't see the whole tape until someone uploaded it on YouTube like 5-6 years ago. I'm like, oh man, this is the tape I always wanted to buy. Fucking I started watching it, and I'm like, this is kind of boring.
Was he on Current Affair? Because then that's legit.
Nah, it wasn't Current Affair. It was
Geraldo
Now or something.
Way? Was he on Primer Impacto? No. Nah, man.
This guy yeah.
No, that ain't real. That, man.
No, Primer Impacto had chupacabras and witches and shit.
Now you know. Now it's for real if it's coming out on that show.
So yeah, man, it's I think I'm so into it because I watched so much of this shit as a child, and I'm so like I'm pot committed, like I'm so pot committed, like in gambling, like when you play poker, like I gotta get this to the end, and I don't think I'm ever gonna see it, but I've spent so much time and energy just watching and reading all this shit. I gotta do it up. I gotta watch it.
Right. Well, just like Andy mentioned, he watched it to the end, and that's the end of this one, man. We'd like to thank you all for listening. Remember to follow Freeform Network on Facebook and Twitter at Freeform Network. Send in those questions and suggestions, ffnquestions@gmail.com. And then visit that webpage, man. That's where you're going to see all of our cool links, all our information of past podcasts, freeformnetwork.podbean.com. But I think that's it for today, man. This is Freeform Radio. I'm Daniel. We got Andy.
It's all good, Andy. Keep your eyes on the sky and hit us up on all our social media pages. And I don't know, we might be doing goddamn YouTube fucking shorts, some TikTok shit. Maybe I'll take clips of the show and so you can hear Danny and Noah and all their wisdom, and I'll keep the good ones on the full show. You have to check out the full show to hear me.
Sweet. And we got Noel.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening, and we appreciate you.
All right, guys. Yeah, so for Daniel and Freeform Radio, I'd like to thank you all for listening, and we will catch you all in the next one.
That was cool, Dad.